Dressed as goblins.
Dressed as goblins. Dressed as goblins.
Hey, it's Sue.
And Megan, the Spine Breakers.
And today we are doing the Myers-Briggs tag, I think is what it's called. Did I say that right?
Come on,
no, the Briggs Book Tag.
The Briggs Book Tag.
That's what it's called.
And Murphy's joining us because why not?
Yes. And we were tagged by Sam from Sarcasm and Sci-Fi. And the tag was created by Jaded Readers. So we will put both Sam's and Jaded Readers videos
down below. You know, y'all know we love the Myers-Briggs.
Yeah. It's just fascinating.
It is.
And fun.
I have a degree, I have 2 degrees in counseling, so like I've taken a lot of personality tests because I've never taken a personality test more accurate than the Myers-Briggs. Like my type really gets me.
Yeah. My type mostly does, but I'm very borderline on one of my letters. So I have some characteristics that don't fit, I think.
Yeah. I can see that.
But yeah, the basis of this tag, if you don't know what Myers-Briggs is, it's a personality test that measures...
It's like 4 different... It comes up with a type based on 4 different parameters. So it determines if you're introverted or extroverted, which... Can I just go on a rant here for a side rant for a second? People confuse what those things mean all of the time. They think that like if you're an extrovert, you're outgoing, and if you're an introvert, you're shy. That is not even remotely what that means. What it means is where do you draw your energy from?
Right.
So like if you're an introvert, you need to have time alone to recharge and draw your energy. And being around people, while you may enjoy it, drains that energy. It doesn't replenish it. Whereas if you're an extrovert, being alone kind of drains that energy and doesn't replenish it, but being around people is what recharges you. Yeah. So, sorry, rant over.
Murphy is definitely an extrovert.
Murphy's an extrovert. He gets energy from people. And then the second dimension is intuition versus sensing, and that's kind of like how you gain information from the world around you. So if you're an N, that means you're intuitive. I mean, not, did I say introversion?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't remember. So it's intuitive or sensing, and if you're an N, that means you're intuitive, which means that you kind of go with your gut. You gain information from the feelings that you get about things, and that's what helps you draw conclusions. Whereas if you're an S, that means you're sensing, you gain information about the world from your 5 senses. And then there's F or T, which is thinking or feeling, which is kind of how you make decisions and process information. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then there's P and J, which is perceiving and judging. Judging does not mean judgmental, which is another misconception. It's just how orderly you keep your world. So if you're a P, you're perceiving, then you're not necessarily, you don't have to have things like in a box or organized or whatever. You can make sense of the information around you if it's scattered. Whereas if you're J, you're judging, then you like to have things orderly. You like to have everything in its place. Those are your folks who color code things.
I was also told, tell me if this is correct or not, that perceiving versus judging was like if you're judging, then you change your environment to suit your needs. And if you're perceiving, then you change yourself to suit your environment's needs.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So those are like the 4 different dimensions, and it puts together a type for you and then explains how all those pieces interact with each other. So, yeah.
And while we're doing this tag,
we are going to drink this Arabicadabra by Bell's.
And it is a coffee milk stout.
And Bell's makes great beer. Heavy on the coffee.
It is pretty heavy on the coffee, but it's good.
It's good.
It's good if you like coffee, which hopefully if you're buying a coffee milk stout,
you
do.
Right. I tend to love coffee, so there you go. So what is your personality type?
Mine is INTP.
Okay. Mine is INFJ, which a lot of people say they are, and I really doubt that.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of people on BookTube who are INFJs, which like I find interesting. I'm like, is there something about that personality type that
lends itself to... I'm not sure, because it's supposed to be a rare personality type. Like 1% of the population is supposedly INFJ.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people take like knockoff Myers-Briggs tests, and so those may or may not be the most accurate.
Yeah.
I've taken the actual Myers-Briggs because I had to take it in college because I had to learn how to score it. And so on that, I was an INFJ, and then on every subsequent test I've taken, I'm an INFJ. But I think that a lot of people don't take like the actual Myers-Briggs because you can't without paying for it.
Right.
Because you have to have somebody actually, a licensed clinician actually score it. So
yeah. Did you give me the real one once? Because I know I did something that you had.
Yeah, because I think I had to give it to somebody for my class, for my tests and measurements class.
Yeah. So I think I've taken the real one, if it was from what you gave me.
Yeah, it was the real one.
And I got INTP. I've only ever, I think on like one of the knockoff ones online once, I almost always get INTP, but I think once I've gotten INFP, which I always do test very borderline on the T
Thinking
versus
and feeling,
F.
that makes sense to me.
So there are some characteristics of like INFP that I think fit me, and some characteristics of INTP that don't quite fit me,
That makes sense. INFJ fits me pretty much to a T.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you'll hear a lot of things about the INFJ door slam, where like INFJs, they'll put up with a lot, but like once they've decided that they're done with somebody, they will completely slam the door and not look back, and that person's like cut out. Yeah. And I totally do that.
Anyway, let's get to the actual tag.
Let's do it.
Probably
I could talk about Myers-Briggs all day.
Talk about Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
All day.
My first question, because I'm an introvert, so you'll have the same question, is like, where's your favorite place to read and unwind? Why is this little oasis where you choose to go?
I usually just read on my couch. I don't necessarily think there's a reason other than it's convenient.
Yeah.
And comfortable, and that's pretty much it.
I'm kind of the same way. Like, I love my house, and I hate leaving my house, and so just sitting on my couch in my house is like my go-to place, just because that's where I feel the most comfortable, and yeah.
Also, I didn't mention there's a Google Doc that has all the questions, so we'll
attach that below.
Below. We're also both in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is intuition. Some books are meant to be understood and others are meant to be explored. What book or character stands for an idea that is deeply meaningful to you?
I said The Handmaid's Tale because obviously I'm a feminist, and equality is a really big thing for me, and also kind of subverting the norm and fighting back against injustice is a big thing for me, just because as a woman, obviously I don't live in the Handmaid's Tale world, thankfully, but I have encountered sexism, and I feel like I do try to stand up to that and fight back, and that's really important to me.
And I'm just realizing now that I forgot to answer this
question. No!
So let me think for a minute.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, what did I pick this for? God, this is like typical INTP, right?
Absent-minded professor right there. That's what that is.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Murphy's like, it's okay.
It's okay, Aunt Susan. You're perfect just the way you are.
I don't know. I hate to be like a broken record, but the first thing that comes to mind is like the Xenogenesis series.
Yeah.
By Octavia Butler, which I had almost chosen for a different question, but it was like, no, I talk about that book too much. But there's a reason that I...
Well, yeah, because it's deeply meaningful.
Yeah, and kind of, I think, for some of the same reasons that you said about The Handmaid's Tale, but also because I think it really challenges a lot of social issues that we have now.
Absolutely.
And explores them in a really
unique
way, which I really like.
And I think Octavia Butler is generally just brilliant at doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The next one we differ on. I'm a feeler. So my question is, which fantasy world do you find so atmospheric you slip inside and never want to leave? Put simply, a book with good vibes. And I said The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which I do talk about a lot, but there's a reason for that. I love like just diving into that world and that whole universe and the different species and characters, and I just want to stay there forever, which is why like I will read those books as long as she writes them.
Right.
Because I just love that universe. I love the diversity. I love the interactions and relationships between the characters. yeah, I just think it's really awesome.
And mine is thinking. So this is nonfiction. For some can seem tedious, but where would we be without the truths of our world? What book, text, or reading material have you found yourself referring to when in need of real-world answers? And I feel like answering this question is kind of impossible because I don't think there is any one book that I would go to for all my answers.
Right.
I think I just go to books in general for answers. So I don't know. I will say that if I'm wanting insight on a specific subject, I would rather read it directly from someone who's experienced it. So I would be probably more likely to pick up like a memoir or, you know, something from someone. And even, I think you can even get that from fiction books.
Oh, absolutely.
Too. I don't think it necessarily has to be nonfiction. So yeah, I would just say all books.
All books in general.
Yeah, but especially those like from people who have actually experienced and
what they're
lived
writing
the things
about.
that they're writing about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then my last one is J, which is how do you structure and balance your reading, booktube, and personal life to better use your time? I feel like I recently have regained more control over my time because I feel like in the past my time was a little bit dictated by another person and now it's not. So I can kind of use it how I want to.
Right.
Which is amazing. So I'm kind of settling into a new normal and like a new balance. It is kind of hard for me because I would say booktube kind of falls behind the other two, like my reading and my personal life, simply because I don't like editing, and I also like sometimes struggle to feel like I have something worthwhile to contribute and to say. So I think that I love spending time with people who are important to me, and I love reading. And then booktube is kind of like, do I really like have enough to say about this for it to mean something? And then also like, I really don't want to edit this video because I don't like it, I suck at it. So yeah, I guess the answer to that's a little convoluted, but I'm trying to settle into a new balance of things.
Yeah.
So.
And mine is perceiving. TBRs are fun to construct and meant to be destroyed. Do you stick to the list or mix it up every now and then? What's a book you've put down that you want to pick back up but just haven't been in the mood for? Yeah, we were just talking in our last video about how we made an October TBR and then didn't.
Do it.
I maybe read one of the books that was on mine. I'm not even sure if it was or not. And Megan didn't read any, so neither of us are good at sticking to TBRs.
No.
Clearly. And a book that I've put down and want to pick back up. I am very much a finisher, so I don't have a lot of books that I put down and don't finish. But I did start a book of William Blake poetry a while ago that I still haven't finished, so I would like to pick that back up, but poetry is kind of something that, like, you gotta be in the mood for.
Yeah. So then the last question is just based on your type.
Yeah.
And so mine is, INFJs are the counselor, which is fitting. And it says, yes, we're a bit odd, but we're also filled with intuition and empathy. What is a book you would recommend to a friend having a hard time? I would recommend Operation Cure Boredom by Dan Martin because it has a little bit of everything in there. Like, it's funny and it's definitely entertaining, but I think like he's really open about like his struggles and like the hard times that he's gone through in his life, and I think that's important because he handles all of that with humor.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, you know, it's kind of nice sometimes because when you're in the middle of some shit, it's hard to see humor because you want to just sit there and be like, oh man, shit fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But if you can look at it and kind of make light of it or, you know, laugh in the midst of it, I think that's important to do. And I think Dan Martin's a really great writer, and I really love that book, so I would recommend that.
So my type is INTP, which is the thinker. Many people let themselves feel, but do you find value in letting oh, I read that wrong. Many people let themselves feel, but you find value in letting yourself think. What books, ideas, or message stuck with you past the last page, and did it change your perspective or solidify an idea? So I think there are a lot of potential answers to that question.
Yeah.
But the one I chose is White Trash, The 400-Year Untold History of Class in America by Nancy Eisenberg, which is about poor white people in America and starting from like when America was founded as what it is now, and up to when this book was published, which I would be interested in hearing what she thinks of the state of our nation now, because this was published in 2016, and I think, you know, before Trump was elected, or before, I don't know. There's
before
nothing,
the shit show started.
There's nothing about Trump in here, is what I'm saying. Because I'm sure she finished writing it before all that happened. So I would be interested to know what she thinks about that, because I think that's also very much wrapped up in, you know, the poor white people in our nation. But this did give me a really a different perspective on that whole situation, knowing our government has kept poor people down and pitted them against people of color and said, you know, told them, these are your enemy. Not us, not the rich white people. We're not your enemy.
No.
It's these poor black people who are trying to take your jobs, and these poor immigrants who are trying to take your jobs. So it kind of gave me more of an understanding of you know, why things are the way they are, I would say. There we go.
There we go.
I'm not great at articulating
Words M's hard.
my feelings on things. Because I'm a thinker.
Because you're a thinker. See, I'm a feeler, but I have a hard time. It's hard to communicate feelings with words, because it's like, I feel things like really deeply. I don't show that though, but like I can't, like, how do you say that?
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I think you feel things deeply, but you don't show your feelings very much.
I don't.
And I, on the other hand, I think show my feelings a lot, whether I want to or not. But I'm not like a feeler really. And I am borderline on those two.
Right.
But I definitely, I think my thinking dictates things more than my feelings do.
Whereas like I will totally, like I will think things through, and like I'm an overthinker, but like I will make a decision based on my gut or based on a feeling that I have. And I will, you know, use that to make a determination. And I do like really feel things deeply, even though I don't emote. Well, you know.
Yeah.
But I just think that's really private. See, that's my introversion thing. Yeah. Because I just think that's really private.
Yeah, and my thing, I think it seems like my feelings are on display a lot because I cry a lot. But I also cry when I feel like any strong emotion. So it's like I don't know how to properly show my emotions either, you know, because I just cry about everything.
See, like as soon as I start to have a strong emotion, you know those gates they pull down over like shop doors and malls? That's what happens. It's like,
I would love to be able to do that because I hate crying. And I hate crying in public because it's embarrassing to me.
Right.
Which maybe it shouldn't be, but like, I hate it. And I wish that I could not do it, but I can't control it.
Yeah. There's been a couple times, like I'm an angry crier. When I get really frustrated or really pissed off, I cry. And so there's been a couple times at work when I've cried at work, and that's super embarrassing to me because I don't cry at work.
Right.
But yeah, and it's not because like I'm hurt or scared or sad or anything. It's just I'm fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Who do you want to tag in
who
this
should we
bitch?
tag? I'm not sure who's already been tagged. Let's tag Dark and Twisty Books.
Yeah.
Hey Little Thrifter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been tagged or not.
But if not, we tag you.
Yes. Let's tag the Book Goblin.
Yeah.
I would like to know
what type that goblin is.
Yeah. Also, is your favorite band
Necrogoblicon?
And do you know John Goblicon?
And do you know the song Dressed as Goblins? Because if you do, I feel like we can be friends.
Should we do one more just because we love Myers-Briggs so much?
Yeah, we should do one more.
Let's tag Onyx Pages.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
As goblins.
Yeah, let us know below what's your Myers-Briggs type? Are there any fellow INTPs out there?
I know there's some INFJs out there.
Yeah.
So, what's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Yeah, and there's like 2 types that I see a lot of people say on BookTube that they are, and it's like INFJ, and then there's another one too that I can't remember. Let us know your Myers-Briggs type.
Yeah, let us
know. And we'll figure it out below.
Yeah. That's it.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.